Hi, I'm Michaela, an elementary instructor with TechWise Academy. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today we're going to be working with our favorite coding platforms, all of which are free and block-based. So today some of them are going to be web-based, which means they need a web browser to access and internet, and then some are going to be applications which needed to be downloaded. We're going to work with Code.org, Tinker, Scratch Junior, Scratch, and Microsoft's MakeCode. So we're going to jump right in and start with Code.org. This is a website that is 100% free, and it's got a lot of great features. Under the Learn section, we've got different courses that are broken down for different grade levels. And then if we keep moving down, we've got different hours of codes, and even more if we click the View More arrow. Under the K-5 course, we've got different courses for different age levels. So we've got all the way up to 13 here. And then we've got some pre-reader courses up at top. We're going to go look at one of our favorite courses or our favorite lessons, and this one is BB-8. This is where our game schedule or our gameplay will show. This is where our directions are, including a little speaker button up at the very top. This is our toolbox where all of our coding blocks are, and this big area is our workspace where we put our coding blocks. So I'm going to have BB-8 pick up the scrap metal. I don't have a specific block of code that says pick up. BB-8 will just roll over it, but there are different lessons and different levels that have a pick up command. It'll say pick down here. For this one, we just need BB-8 to roll over it. So I'm going to have BB-8 move over 2 to the east. So I've dragged them out here. I do have my site muted right now, but it would make a little clicking sound every time the blocks get clicked together. So if I hit run, BB-8 will run the code just as it's written. Perfect. The other thing, after I hit run, it turns into a reset. I can hit this reset button, which will start BB-8 over. I can hit this reset and run button as many times as I want. There's not going to be any penalty or any harm in doing that. So if I was here, I can either go over and then down, or down and then over. I'm going to have BB-8 go down and then over. I also like Code.org because Code.org is this yellow line is trying to show me which block I just added to the code. So if I were to run the code, when I hit run, you'll see that yellow line will go around and highlight each and every one of these blocks because it's trying to tell me which line of code that it's running at this very moment, which is super helpful for when I'm trying to find a mistake in my code, or if I am looking to see maybe which step I need to do next, or how the sequence or the order it works in. Additionally, this section right here is telling me that I can complete this puzzle in 6 blocks, and that does include the one run. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This tells me that I can do it in the 6 blocks. There may be a faster way to do it. If you use more blocks, that's okay. This is just telling you what Code.org says is the fastest way to do that. So I'm going to hit run, or reset and run, and you'll notice this yellow line is telling me exactly which line of code I'm doing. I can hit keep playing if I wanted to. This would be if I wanted to maybe try with this block, or if I wanted to try to solve the puzzle a different way, or I could hit continue. And I'm actually going to jump over to another similar program. This is Tinker. This is a free program, very similar to Code.org. This one is where we've got all of our block coding ones. These are the hours of code that they have, and it tells you kind of where they think a coder should begin. So this would be a beginner one, or if you think you're more intermediate, you can start here. And then it tells you which ones will read the words or the text on the screen. So this little block right here with the little speaker button, this tells me that this has a voiceover, which will be, it'll read it to me. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this one. And this does have a voiceover. I do have my site muted right now, so it is not going to be reading it to me, but the character would actually go ahead and read this. And one of the reasons I like Tinker is because it kind of shows me exactly where I need to be. So I'm this little character, this little creature, and I'm going to be on this dot. That tells me that I need to walk 1 space, and I will get to this circle, and then if I walk another space, I'll get to this little jelly bean. So I'll go ahead and add one, and it's actually going to tell me to add another one. And just like Code.org, I can click this play button as many times as I want. If I get the code wrong, perfect, they got the candy, excellent. If I get the code wrong a couple of times, then it will come up with helpful hints and it'll try to re-explain it to me. If I go ahead and hit next lesson, I could go on to the next lesson. I do like as an educator that I can see the time here. So that way I can see if some of my students maybe have struggled with this a little bit. I can go and say, okay, I need to go over this as a class. So it gives me nice visual feedback right there. And then if I were to do this one, I can see that I need to go over here. I'm gonna add 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks to this. And once I do that, I will go ahead and hit run. And then Tinker actually puts the code up here and highlights the block that it's running as well, similar to code.org. So I really like Tinker because it gives me a lot of great information. I like it because it shows you which levels have a voiceover on it. And I also like it because if the students get further along in this course, different videos will pop up and it will allow the students to watch the video, and the videos go over their quick, really easy videos to watch. The videos go over different coding foundations and they are very well made. So we're going to switch gears just a little bit. And we're going to jump into Scratch Junior. This is Scratch Junior. This is an app that can be downloaded on Apple, Android, Chromebooks, Mac, and Windows. I am using the Windows version, so this one is going to be a little bit different than if you've seen Scratch Cat. Scratch Cat would be an orange cat here, so I'm using a different character. If I want to code this character, I can see that there is a picture of Tick down here. So I know that this is Tick up here, and there's a yellow box. I could go through, and these are my coding categories. These are the ones that start the code. These are movement, these are looks, so making the character have a speech bubble, changing the size, invisible, and then reappear. Sound effects, we can even record our own sound effects. We've got control over here, and then we've got end. So if I wanted Tick to move over to the right and then jump, I could add these, which helps with our left to right directionality. And when I click on it, Tick will move one space to the right and then jump. If I put a green flag in front of it, now I can do a green flag and I can press it and Tick will move. So this is a application or an app that is not puzzle based. It is going to be a free create. I can create different games, animations, and different stories. If I wanted different characters in either my game, story, or animation, I could click the plus on the left hand side. And Scratch Junior has a ton of characters that are already built in. So I'm going to pick this one for right now and click the check mark. If I did not want this card to be this color, I could paint it, or I could change the color of it with my paintbrush. And then I could have, let's have this card be this like light green or this light blue. Perfect. I could even draw on it if I wanted to. Let's change it to this color. I could draw on the screen, and this smiley face would be part of my character, so we're going to go ahead and undo that. And now this car is in my character, or this character is in my scene or my coding area. If I wanted to create my own character, I could do that as well. Notice how Scratch Junior did save my custom character right here. That's perfect. But if I didn't want any of those characters and I wanted to make my own, I could click this blank paper. I could go through and do a paintbrush. So if I wanted, let's make a smiley face. Excellent. And now my smiley face can be coded just like any of the other characters. So just like the driver or just like Tick. Perfect. And now you'll notice that I have 3 characters here. If I wanted to change my background, I could do so up here. And same as characters, I can either pick one that's down here that Scratch Junior already has for me. I could see my customized ones up here, or I could create my very own if I wanted to do that. So for this sake, I'm just going to have them go to the park. And then here they are at the park. If I click this plus on the right hand side, this would be kind of like a scenes or chapters kind of thing, or a different setting maybe. So if this was my story, maybe they drove to the park, and after the park they went to the beach. Perfect. Now I can kind of see that I have a little bit of a story here, or maybe I have a game or an animation. So there's lots of possibilities with Scratch Junior. That's one of the reasons why we love it, just because it's so versatile. It's got a lot of different options and a lot of different creative abilities. This is a application that I would probably use for kindergarten through 3rd grade, give or take, maybe kindergarten through 2nd grade. We're going to switch into some of the coding platforms that we like for the older kids, maybe for 3rd grade and above. So this is Scratch. The application of the app that we just looked at was Scratch Junior. This is the bigger version of Scratch Junior. So we have a lot of similarities. We've got our coding categories over here. We've got our coding blocks right here. These are where we will give our characters or our sprites command. And this big area right here is the workspace. This is where we drag out our code. This is what's called the stage. This is where we see what our character is doing. And then down here we've got characters and backgrounds. So if I did not want this Scratch cat, I could go down here. I can pick from the library that Scratch already has for me, or I could paint my own. In this case, I'm just going to pick one that Scratch has for me. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to pick this dog. Now I can see that I have two characters down here. If I go through and I add my backdrop, I can paint it here or make my own. I'm going to choose from the ones that Scratch has for me. Beautiful. And I can see that there's a little picture right here. So this tells me that I'm coding this little space dog. Or there's a blue box around the space dot. So if I drag out some of our blocks, we've got move blocks. These are the blue blocks. So every time you want a character to move, whether it's turn or go to a random position, it's going to be in this motion section. And now I've coded that character to move 10 steps. I can change the look. So this is going to be where costumes live. This is going to be their speech bubbles. This is going to be the size and color. We've got some sound blocks right here. These are where you code your sound. If you want to pick your sound, there's a sound tab right here and the sound library as well. We also have events. This is when the code starts. So now, as opposed to clicking on the block itself, I can click this green flag, and every time I click the green flag, the space dog will move. We have control, so we've got this is where our repeat loops live, this is where our conditionals live. So if this happens, then do this. That would be this block. Sensing is kind of like it's looking or waiting for something. It's trying to check something. So we can see if a character is touching the mouse pointer, we can see if it's touching a different color, if the space bar has been pressed down. Operators are going to be your math terms. These are going to be less than, greater than, and equals to. We've also got and, or, and not. We've got some comparisons down here. Variables are how we create a variable is something that stores information. So it can, and they're things that change. So score, lives, health, all of this can be done through here. And then lastly, we have the option to make a block as well. If we were making a function or if we wanted a custom block, we would do it in here. So there's lots on Scratch that I really love. I love the creative platform on this. I love that I can play games, I can make different games, I can customize my characters. I can really make this project my very own. An additional resource from Scratch that's already built into Scratch are some of these tutorials at the top. These are going to be, maybe I didn't know how to create a game or if I wanted more information, I could do that. They've got lots of great tutorials. And they've got a little video right here, and then it walks you through step by step exactly how to do that. So it looks like I should get some letters first if I were to do this one. So I do love Scratch. This is again for maybe students that are third grade and onwards. The last coding platform that we would like to show you is Microsoft's MakeCode. And this is a wonderful platform because it is going to be very similar to Scratch, but this one has a lot of code that's already built in for us. So this is where our game is played on this little retro Game Boy. We've got our block categories right here, and then we can open them and grab out our different blocks. We can also change this. Right now we're using blocks, but we could also change it into JavaScript if we wanted to. So I really like MakeCode for a lot of reasons because it has a lot built in. For example, I could set my character, so set my sprite, which is the name of my character, to be a sprite that looks like whatever's in this gray box of a kind of player. And I like that because there are certain characteristics and different coding blocks that go with each character trait. So this is a player, but I could change it to an enemy. I could change it to whatever it would like to be. So I like that I can already define it as this is the character that me as the game player is going to control. If I open up this one, I could draw or make my own pixelated kind of character. But MakeCode also gives us a gallery where we can pick from the many characters that they have for us. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this one. And then if I wanted to, I could customize it and make it more unique to my likings. Now, when I click this in here, it kind of automatically pops up my character. Our character should pop up here in just a second. Beautiful. So I like that. Another feature is that they have game over. If something happens, I can set the game over to lose. I can set the game over to win with a lot of little fun features like confetti. I can also set the score. So I can set score automatically. I don't even have to create a variable for this. So that's really nice that this is already built in. And then there's the option to download it, and if you have an extra piece of equipment like a Meowbit, you could actually play the game that you have created. I also really like Microsoft's MakeCode because if I were to go back to the home page, we've got some skill maps over here. These are a great place to start with MakeCode. They will be little tutorials that kind of break it down into different sections, and they've got tutorials down here. So if I were to open up a tutorial, this one's one of my favorites. I could go through and I could choose blocks, JavaScript, and Python, or Python. I'm going to click blocks. And then this section will show me what part of the game I'm trying to build. So it looks like we're trying to get a character, and it looks like we're working with lives. And then they have little speaker bubbles that I can listen to if I wanted to. I do have a limited version of the block palette or the block category, but if I finish the tutorial and I want to make my own game in the free play mode, I'm welcome to do that. And it will actually save the tutorial as well. So those are just 5 of our favorite coding platforms. Definitely check them out. What kind of puzzles did you solve on Code.org or Tinker? How did you solve those puzzles? What did you create on Scratch, MakeCode, and Scratch Junior? We would love to hear from you. What did you create? What are you most proud of? Definitely go ahead and leave us a comment and see what you created. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time. Bye!